Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from Am I the A-Hole? Story 1 is by Otherwise File 5199. Am I the a-hole for setting up a just-in-case fund for my daughter? My daughter has been married to her husband for 3 years and they recently had their first child. The entire time they've been married, she's been a housewife and now she's a stay-at-home mom with no plans to return to work. I think that's fine and have been supportive. I also know she and her husband both have sizable life insurance policies, so if, God forbid, one dies, they'll be okay. However, she also signed a prenup, which again, I think is smart. But according to my daughter, she'd get a very small settlement. And even with child support, there's a good chance she'll have to return to work. And after being out of the workforce for a bit, who knows if that'll be a challenge. My main worry is that my niece fell into the scenario and even with child support, she struggled. So, my husband, her father, and I set up a just-in-case account. If she and her husband divorce, she'll have money to fall back on just in case. If they remain married past the time my husband and I die, it'll just be added to what she'll inherit. I didn't intend on telling her about it unless it happened, but my husband pointed out that if she was ever in a situation where she wanted to leave, but worried she financially couldn't, it'd be good for her to know she has a plan B. So we told her, and she was a little surprised. She said she appreciated it, but she felt we were rooting against her. I said we love her husband and hope they have a long, healthy marriage. We have always been supportive, but this is similar to the prenup, a just-in-case, a last resort. Well, she told her husband and he's pissed at us as well, saying that we don't trust him. I said it's looking out for her daughter and it's really no different from the prenup. I added that just as he'll always want to protect his daughter, we'll always protect ours. Am I the a-hole? This is one of those stories where I flat out say, you're not the a-hole for doing this, you're not the a-hole for telling her. And the way her husband responded to this, it's a good thing that you have this just-in-case fund. He should not be taking it personally. He should be happy that she has very, very loving parents that will always take care of her and help her if something goes wrong. Getting pissed off about it serves no purpose at all. Down in the comments by Steffi V. Not the a-hole. In his own words, your son-in-law said he doesn't trust your daughter by having her sign a prenup. Does nobody see the double standard? I am struggling every single day. My parents had something set aside for me if I were faced with this very scenario. I was. Only my abusive ex found out and stole every last dime. We had to start over with literally nothing. Your daughter should be grateful. Underneath that by Fleur the Least. Yep, it's very interesting that SIL's response was to get angry when he heard about it. I feel dumb right now. Isn't SIL usually sister-in-law? Oh, son-in-law. Sorry, I'm dumb. Quoting the OP, however, she also signed a prenup, which again I think is smart. But according to my daughter, she'd get a very small settlement. Again, very interesting that his response to his stay-at-home wife having access to money if he dumps her is to get angry and claim they don't trust him. Why is he upset that she'll have more than just a very small settlement if they do divorce? How does this affect him? His money stays in his pocket, right? She isn't walking away with half of everything, so he's golden. The prenup obviously protects him, so why is he angry that she also has protection? And if they never divorce, what's the harm, right? Intriguing. The only mistake was telling her about it this early. The daughter should have only been informed about it if there were signs of trouble. Now the son-in-law knows about it and is angry. Forewarned is forearmed, as the saying goes. He may move very differently going forward. OP should take care to ensure this hurt son-in-law can't legally access this money. It would be a heck of a thing if he's the one to clean her out if this all falls apart. She needs to seek legal advice now that he knows about it. More sound advice in the comments section. I know a lot of people are like, don't get your advice from comment sections of Reddit or any forums, basically, or, any chat room on the internet. But the great thing about all these forums, all these different places that you can talk to people is that you get advice from people who have had experiences like this before. If you've never been through it, sometimes you don't know what to do. Our next story today is by No Resident 9906. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that she's an idiot for expecting her family to be as generous with gifts for her marriage as they were for mine? When I married my husband, we had a smallish wedding, 150 guests. Trust me, that's small for our families. We paid for everything ourselves. Altogether, we spent around $25,000. It was in our budget and we had saved up for it, and that included everything. My dress, the wedding party's dresses and tux rentals, catering, you name it, we paid and came in under budget. Our guests were family and close friends, the way it should be, and they were generous with gifts, both from our registry and cash in envelopes. When everything was said and done, our house was filled with great stuff we needed, and our savings were several $1,000s over where we started before we paid for the wedding. My husband's sister just eloped in February, and nobody found out about it until early April when she sent out links to her wedding registry. Not too many people have bought anything off it yet, and she's getting upset about that. All she talks about whenever we speak is how cheap everyone is. Every conversation leads back to the same topic. After more than a month of this, I had had enough. I asked her if she understood why we got gifts when I married her brother. Like at our physical wedding that took place at a church and then a reception at a rented ballroom. She said it was treating her like an idiot and that she understood the difference between our weddings. I asked her why she would expect the same exact treatment for two very different events. I said that only an idiot would think the outcome would be the same in both situations. She is mad at me. My husband said that he was also frustrated with her stupidity, but that I should apologize for calling her an idiot. To be fair, OP, you didn't call her an idiot. You said only an idiot would think the outcome would be the same in both situations. Going to a wedding and having a reception, for some people, is an event they don't really want to partake in, but a lot of people like to go to weddings. A lot of people like to see their friends get married. And you had 150 people at your wedding. So of course you're going to have thousands of dollars more stuff than she's going to get. And she's just going to send a link to her registry and be like, send me gifts for us getting married. I didn't invite anybody to the wedding. I didn't want to see any of you. I eloped because I didn't feel like spending money. But buy us gifts. It's just very selfish. Down in the comments by No Lavishness 3206. Not the a-hole. Ask her if she sends gifts to all the birthday parties she isn't invited to attend. Our next story is by OwnWeb8689. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter-in-law her feelings are not my problem, and for F's sake, you don't need to be invited to everything? I will keep this as short as possible. The family has a code word that means to meet up at my home because there is bad news. So, emergency family meeting. This is something that is extremely rare, and it means to drop what you're doing and get over to us as soon as possible. It is only an invite for the kids. No in-laws are invited. This was discussed and agreed upon by everyone. This was due to everyone being mostly comfortable with sharing bad news with their siblings and not having to be polite with the in-laws. For example, my daughter used the code word and it was an emergency family meeting. She was getting a divorce and needed help. After, everyone fills in their spouses, but not all the gritty details. This happened today. An emergency meeting was called by my husband. In short, he needs surgery. I won't go into it more than that. Everyone left and I got a call from my daughter-in-law, upset that she wasn't invited to the meeting. I asked if she knew what these were, and she told me my son explained it. She reiterated that she should still be invited and I'm excluding her, that she is upset and expects the invite next time. I told her that her feelings aren't my problem, and for F's sake, you don't need to be invited to everything. She called me a jerk. My son told me he will deal with it, but I could have been nicer. It's unusual for a family to have something like this. For one thing, you don't have to have everybody show up in person to some meeting about any of this stuff. If he's going to get surgery, he can go and have surgery. You don't have to have everybody show up at your house to discuss it. You can inform people without having these meetings, but if this is the way you want to do it and this has worked out for you and everybody agrees this is kind of necessary, then it's your family. You can do what you want with it. I do agree with your son. You could have been nicer. Down in the comments, it was a bit mixed. To start by Blue-Eyed Wolf. This is so depressing. You don't consider your kids' spouses as family. I feel sorry for you. You sound very angry and bitter. Under that by Celtic Muse Books. I know, right? The whole family with their code words and excluding spouses. They sound exhausting. So much needless drama. That's the first thought that came to my head with this. There's needless drama there. I also think that your daughter-in-law, though, shouldn't be offended that she's not invited to these family emergency meetings. It's for immediate family. It's not like they're just excluding her. But anyway, underneath that by Hal Burrow. Going against the grain here, but I don't get the hate. There are some things I'd feel more comfortable just discussing with my parents and siblings, but not my brother-in-law, as great as he is. OP is not even the issue here. Her daughter-in-law should be grappling with the fact that her own husband clearly doesn't want her there either. Not the a-hole. Underneath that by Famous Ad 9467. Same. I don't get the hate either. It's something they want to share with their siblings. Not every in-law is good. People are acting like some son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws are not good people. Like I said, it's your family. You can do what you want. And her saying she expects an invite in the future? That to me deserves a bit of a, middle finger to her. But it is kind of strange to have these code words and secrets. Why wouldn't you want her to know that he's going to have surgery? It's just a topic of conversation for a lot of people. He's going to go have a surgery. They're getting a divorce. Trying to hide it from people at all in the first place is a little strange. But to each their own. Our last story today is by Opposite Meaning 1497. Am I the a-hole for not making my kids go with my ex's wife and their children or inviting them to join us on Mother's Day? My ex and I broke up. We were never married. When I was pregnant with our youngest child, who is now 12, and our oldest is almost 14. Ex moved 20 hours away when our youngest was 5 months old. He was following a better job. Plus, he was bored of our home state and wanted a change. He told me this before he left, and I asked about the kids, and he told me he'd be involved as a dad, just at a distance. I have primary custody. He sees them for 3 weeks in the summer and every other Christmas or Thanksgiving. It's not a lot, and the kids aren't very close to him and have grown to enjoy the time with him less as they get older. Part of this is because they don't feel like he makes enough of an effort. Another part is the fact that he got married 2 years after the move and he has more children with his current wife. So the kids feel replaced. I can't blame them. So I put them in therapy to help them through this. I hardly ever hear from X or his wife. I get 3 emails from him a year and maybe 5 replies if I'm lucky, which is him giving me dates and me asking him questions and getting replies to those. The kids do not have a close relationship or any type of bond with their half-siblings. Sunday morning we got the shock of our lives when my ex's wife showed up with her and my ex's kids and said she came to get my kids to spend the day with them and so they could be with her and their half-siblings. My kids said they didn't want to go and walked away without saying anything else to her. She looked so offended at the door and told me to make sure they get ready. I told her no and told her she didn't get to just arrive. I told her they were spending Mother's Day with me, their mom. Then I closed the door and she stayed with her kids for a few more minutes before leaving. Apparently, she got home later that night. They flew, apparently, because both she and X sent numerous emails saying I should have sent the kids with her and made them celebrate her for a change, since she's been their stepmom most of their lives and they have siblings who wanted to see them. X also claimed if I refused to share, I should have invited them in to spend some time all together. They called me a B-word and unreasonable. This continued all day yesterday. He sees them for 3 weeks in the summer and every other Christmas and Thanksgiving. That's it. So why are they just showing up? Why are they flying out here, showing up without contacting you at all or discussing this and saying, hey, make sure you get your children ready because they're coming with us because I want to see them on Mother's Day and I'm not actually their mom. What in the world is wrong with these people? It is not something you do. She didn't say she didn't want to share. There's nothing in this about them spending Mother's Day with a stepmom. Not once ever. That's crazy to me. She just shows up with her kids and says, come with us. And then he's like, well, if you don't want to share, you should have just invited them in for Mother's Day celebration. No? Why would anybody ever do that? Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have an exceptional day.